I despise them. I want them to lose. We swallowed the lie that the patriarchy owed angry women reparations. Rapinoe is the ultimate pimp. She's a fraud. She hates America because she hates herself. Man-made technological advances produce the environment and culture that allow feminists to amnesia realities of the past and guilt-trip men in the present. Don't feel bad rooting against the U.S. women's national soccer team in the World Cup. The band of Megan Rapinoe-led entitled women who struggle to respect our national anthem and lie about pay inequality. I'm not going to feign indifference. I want them to lose. Rooting against the American nightmare is not unpatriotic. Rooting for them is. In the history of sports, no sports team or individual has needed a comeuppance more than our women's soccer team. Should we be surprised by the behavior of these young ladies? I say no. Their collective sense of entitlement and lack of gratitude created a delusion that only failure and embarrassment can correct. It's not true. Men have not exploited women or denied them freedom and agency. The customs of the past reflected the harsh realities of life before men paved roads, built skyscrapers, replaced covered wagons with planes, trains, and automobiles, and made eating as simple as loading the DoorDash app. I'm sure Rapinoe will figure out a way to blame sexism, systemic racism, or homophobia. The American nightmare has been 50 years in the making. The adoption of Title IX in 1972 was a plea agreement American men signed with radical feminists. We copped to a crime we didn't commit. Feminists are pimps, no different from Iceberg Slim or Andrew Tate. Feminists have turned men into street-walking prostitutes who turn over the spoils of their work to their abuser. When pop star Rihanna sings, "Bitch better have my money," she's talking about American men. Title IX is one of the greatest hustles in the history of pimping. Iceberg Kims convinced a U.S. president and the 92nd Congress to mandate that billions of dollars be siphoned away from boys and invested in creating female jocks. It didn't matter that girls are far less likely to be interested in competitive sports, or that participation in competitive sports worked against women's supernatural reproductive powers. The American government has spent 50 years and trillions of dollars creating hardcore female jocks. We owed that to women because the government previously spent billions convincing men to take an interest in competitive sports. Wait, that didn't happen. The government didn't have to manufacture and bribe men to take an interest in competitive sports. It's in the nature of men. And we don't get pregnant and carry a baby inside us for 9 months at a time. There are actual physical differences between men and women that explain our disparate interest in playing games. Imagine that. Imagine spending billions of dollars and 50 years to create an unbeatable women's soccer team, and the players on that team using their government-paid-for platforms to demonize their investors. That's the women's national soccer team. That's Megan Rapinoe. That's the group of overpaid, spoiled, and entitled women who claim they're underpaid, underappreciated, and represent a racist, homophobic, and sexist country. She's the Andrew Tate of LGBTQ feminism. She sees herself as a force for good, a force for freedom, and proper femininity. She believes she's a threat to the establishment. She's popular. People Google her and react to the things she says. She's wealthy beyond her imagination, sexually liberated, and adored by her followers. Her dyed hair, rebellious persona, constant smirk, and social justice posturing are beards masking her shallowness. She's toxic. Her attitude pervades the national team. They have little interest in representing America and competing at the highest level. They want to go viral and cash in on the feminism pimp game. Don't waste a second questioning your disdain for this team and Rapinoe. They deserve it. We poured everything we had into their success, diminished opportunities for boys and men for their success. and they've repaid us with ingratitude. And that's my fire. Are you ready to join me in the animus towards this team?
Well, I've always kind of been there. I care, but I don't care. I mean, literally, I would root for Al Qaeda before I would this American women's soccer team. And someone said, well, what about Antifa? And I had thought about it. They are the sports version of Antifa. So I'm like, so it's not really fair to say that. But you talk about the word gratitude to this great country of ours. They have committed the greatest sin of all, the sin of ingratitude and everything that's been given to them. And I think the other issue is, and the way they have behaved, especially purple hair Rapinoe, when she would score a goal up 9-0 against this impoverished third world country that barely has PE classes for girls, preening the way she does. The thing I'd say to myself is, good grief, these people are obnoxious. They truly are. And let's be honest, if that was a male athlete celebrating like that in any form, in any game, it would not be looked upon well. In fact, they would be castigated. So again, it's the double standard, no standard that applies. But Jason, my God, have you been analyzing women's soccer? What have we become here? Whitlock, I don't even know who you are. Look, when I pop in my 3 capsules of ZMA nightly, that's for my sleep. Sleep. Yes, Nas once says it's the cousin of death. I completely disagree. Jason, I think it's really interesting that I remember post-Dream Team, right around the mid-2000s, there seemed to be a growing sentiment that our NBA players were unlikable. They don't carry the American values. We don't like them. And I seem to recall a lot of fans and maybe even media members talking about how, you know what, we don't like them. They don't really espouse our values and they don't represent us well. You know, it's funny. Those guys never protested, never hated America. They were just unorganized and probably had the wrong coach when they were losing those international tournaments before Kobe had the right to ship in 2008. I just find it very interesting that that group of athletes, their biggest problem was, to me, that they weren't the original Dream Team and they may have acted indifferently. They never once were anti-American, to their credit. They didn't play very well, and we were getting blown out by Puerto Rico, of all teams. But this team here, all they do is spew anti-American agendas, and there seems to be like this real silent agreement with the media that we cannot be critical in any way.
From Rapinoe and the despisal of the national anthem to the whole little equal pay hustle.